Hi everyone, back on track. So my Saturdays create with me videos. So for the fourth create with me video, I have decided to show you guys how I make my masks. So before I get to that and kind of give you guys an idea of the shape of the pattern, and how I cut everything out and explain how I do all the bibbles and bobbles, I'm going to show you the finished piece from the last Create With Me, which was done on Sunday. We were doing create your own wall decor. So this is the piece, as you guys seen on the video. I had done the orange piece, and then off screen I had done the pink piece. And then because I said, hey, why not, I actually decided to write a quote on it. So what I did was, it says, you are the artist of your own life. Don't hand the paintbrush to someone else, or anyone else, sorry. Now, I felt that this video was perfect for me because as an artist, I always run into trials and tribulations. And the thing is that as anything in life, sometimes there is trial and error. So that's very much how it happened when I was coming up with my own pattern for these masks. Because the first mask I made was way too small, and it was actually about the size to fit my child's face, so that's who uses it now. It's my youngest child, who's immunocompromised, is the one that uses that mask. So what I'm doing is I'm going to show you how to make mine. So here I have used a 100% cotton type of fabric, and it actually is black and blue. It's actually the same fabric that you've seen me making the mermaid tails out of. So as you can see here, it's kind of this like weird shape, but in the center it's kind of like almost like a bowl, right? So, and if you turn it like this, you can actually kind of see it's kind of like a bowl, right? So, and I use ribbons, not elastics, because everyone's head is bigger or smaller than the other. We do not all have the same head size, because if we did, we would probably be robots. So, as in my Facebook post about the materials that you're going to need for this, I use a 18 by 21 inches fat quarter. They're usually already pre-cut, and I can usually get them from Walmart. It all depends, because right now it is very slim pickings. I was lucky enough to tonight find a few extra ones, so with the breakdown of my pattern, that is what I'm going to be showing you guys on tonight, is the cutout pieces on one of the fat quarter pieces that I managed to find. So other things that you're going to keep in mind when you are making these masks. The masks themselves are not going to prevent the virus, but they will in turn help prevent spread. With me being someone who is immunocompromised, it actually kind of just gives me a little bit of relief as well, knowing that me wearing it might help just a tad little bit. I know it's not like they're a magical mask from a fantasy world where they're going to prevent every virus or every disease that comes at me. But that gives me that 1 ounce of relief to know that it may help in preventing just by that, 1 or 2%. So what I did was that on a piece of cardstock or Bristol board or even just regular paper, what you're going to do is you're going to start off with something that looks like a rectangle. That is 2 long sides and 2 short sides. And then from there, you're going to make some interesting curvy shapes. So your rectangle ends up turning into looking like something like this. So instead of being completely straight across, you're going to go from here and you're kind of going to be a little bit on a curve. Then you're going to come down, you're going to give it a hump, because this curve is sexy, because curves are sexy. Yes, I've been in quarantine way too long when I'm thinking a rectangle with a curve is sexy. Lord help me. And then you're going to do the bottom. You're going to come up like this. So the way I figured out how to do this for my face size was that using one of those lovely white measuring tapes. They can be sometimes pink or green. You can get them from the dollar store. They have inches on one side, and I believe it's centimeters on the other. I actually measured from the bridge of my nose over here to where my ears are. And this measurement that you're seeing here is actually one side of my face from here to here. And this little line that you are seeing here is my basis for my seam allowance, because usually when I'm sewing, I go in about a centimeter, and that's where I start to sew. Now, I want to note to you guys that these are made by hand. And when I say by hand, yeah, okay, they're made by hand because I'm making them. But what I mean by hand is that I'm actually hand sewing these. They're not being sewn on a sewing machine. That definitely can be done though, but I just choose to hand sew them. So you're going to need a few pins. You're going to need a little bit of patience. Maybe a slight ounce of sanity if you have any left. So I'm using the same thread I did last time we did the mermaid video, where I made the mermaid rice bag. It is the Gutermann M782 100 meter to 110 yards. 100 100% polyester, and it's the one that I said was kind of a cross between the thickness of a dollar store thread and a half size of an embroidery thread. That, and you're going to need a sewing needle. So what I did was that once you cut out your pieces, that lovely pattern that I showed you, you're going to cut out 4 of these. Now, when you cut out 4 of these, you're going to get 4 pieces that look like this. So, see, 4 pieces. So, these ones are lemons. I don't know how well you can see that. This fabric is lemons and not roses. But what you're going to do is that the way I did this is I actually managed to cut out the pieces for the from the 4/4 all at once. So what you're going to do is you're going to fold it in half, and then you're going to fold it again. So you actually end up having like everything's all folded 4 pieces. So when you actually cut it out, it works out perfect because your right sides are on your right side and your inside side are on your inside sides. But basically what you're going to do is you're going to take 2 of those pieces, you're going to match up the curve. You're going to put your 2 right sides in. So that means that usually the lighter side of the fabric, so your pattern's not as bright, your pattern's not as defined. You're going to put the lighter pattern on the outsides and your 2 right patterns, 2 right side of your patterns together. Don't mind my rambling. I'm trying to catch a pin that decided to crawl underneath my laptop. So once you got this, usually you do this for both. So what this is going to do is it's going to create a full mask for you. So it's going to actually be a lined mask. So like I said, on here and on here. So it's not just like that inside fabric, like not the wrong side. It's actually lined. So you have a full mask that's lined. Now I'm going to also note to you guys that these are not filtered. I did use 100% cotton, but they're not filtered. So keep that in mind as well. That they're not like the N95 masks where they have filters and they're the typical medical mask. So what you're going to do with this first is that now since you have 2 of the outside pieces pinned together, you're going to sew along here. You're going to do this twice. So you're going to do this for this piece, and you're going to do it for your other 2 pieces. Once those 2 pieces are together and you kind of flip them outside, you're going to notice that your fabric's kind of got a curve to it. That curve is meant to be there because that curve is what's going to be the part that goes around your face. See? And it kind of curves your face. These aren't sewn, it's just pinned, so yes, it's not together all the way. So what you're going to do is that once those 2 pieces are sewn together, again, you're going to make sure that the wrong side is on the outside that you're seeing. So you're going to put in the 2 right sides inside on both your pieces of fabric. So then that's going to give you the lining and the outside of the fabric. And what you're going to do is that once those two pieces are sewn and your two inside pieces are together, what you're going to do is you're going to actually sew all along here and here on the top, and you're going to do the same on the bottom all across here. And then once that's done, you're going to actually create a tube. And what you're going to do is you're going to reach your hand in there and you're going to pull it out. So you're going to turn it right side out. So then that way your really bold colors, your really defined parts are actually going to be on the outside. But then you end up with two raw edges on either sides of the tube. So what I actually did was I kind of stuff them into each other on themselves, so there's no more raw edges. The raw edges are on the inside. And then with my thread, I actually sewed across the top here like this, as you can see. So it's how I sewed right here, right across there. So then it creates a fold in your fabric like this. See? There's no more raw edges. And you do that with both sides. And because we have actually created some seam allowance, this should turn out to be the perfect size for your face. So with that, what I mean is, so see now this goes on my face. I can't really put it on all the way because the earphones are in the way. But see, it's completely lined. And then I would just take this and tie this around my head. Now, this is not going to sit right, but kind of give you guys an idea of what I'm talking about. Right? And then it comes up. So then that just fits my face nicely. Other than the fact that my headphones are in the way. And then you tie that behind your head. And that's why I made sure that, now let alone I didn't measure the back of my head, but that is why, like I said at the beginning, I put ribbons on here instead of elastic, because if by some chance you decided you were making the masks for somebody else, not everybody has access to a measuring tape, not everyone has access to, or some people are actually even allergic to the elastic, from what I've known. Or the elastic agitates behind their ears. So I figure at least with ribbon, you don't have to worry about that. They can tie it as tight as they want it, as loose as they want it, preferably more tighter. It's going to allow it to stay. But then that way you don't have to worry about a full circumference of someone's head. So I decided to make these. I'm also going to be putting a link up to my Etsy shop because I will be selling these on my Etsy shop with the limited materials that I do have available. Now, going back to what I was saying, so usually if you're going to buy a fat quarter at, and I mean FAT, not PHAT, fat quarter at Walmart, what you're going to do is you're going to go to one of the super centers, because if you go to one of the smaller places, all you're going to find is your notions. So your thread, your bobbins, your ribbon, your zippers and stuff, is what you'll find at one of the little Walmarts, like not the ones with the full grocery stores. You're going to go to a full grocery store one where it's technically a super center. And you're going to go into crafts and sewing, and then they should have a section where you're going to have all these little fabric pieces pre-cut, or you're going to have sections that have the like bundles of other different types of fabric. Some of them are like silk nylon, other ones are very like thin, almost like a broadcloth, and you can actually buy those on a small bolt for 5 yards. I've used those for other things, but what you're looking for is something called a fat quarter. Usually they'll be patterned. It can be moderately patterned, or it can be very simple. And again, they're 100% cotton. They are 18 by 21 inches. Some of them will have a little cardboard piece inside them, so they'll actually look like a square. Other ones will actually be in a very, very small roll. The only difference in between those two is by price, by about, I think it's about 20-40 cents. And for my ribbon, I usually go to the ribbon section of Walmart, or I go to the dollar store. So you can usually end up paying about $1 to maybe $3 for a spool of ribbon. One spool of ribbon I can usually get 2 full masks out of. Just so you know, so if you have an idea to make these yourself. Pins are something people usually have at home. Thread is something people usually have at home. People are usually always trying to sew buttons on, or maybe fix a hole or sew a patch, because anyone with kids always have kids with holes in their pants. What else could I let you know? Your ribbon doesn't have to be a solid color. You can get one that's patterned or one that matches the color of the mask. You don't have to. It's your mask. You can make it whatever color you want to. It could be rainbows with fluffy bunnies. It doesn't matter. So on that note, I'm going to end the video for the night. But what I'm going to do is, like I said, is I will link my Etsy shop link, and I will have the masks for availability for sale before the weekend is over. But again, pre-warning that there's only going to be limited quantities, because it's only going to be based on the amount of fabric that I'm able to access, because right now during this time, Walmart supercenters are basically restocking what they can, and in the matter of minutes they're pretty much gone. We had to go on a hunt for the few that I found tonight, thankfully for my husband and his buddy for being able to do that. So again, I'm gonna end the video here. I hope you guys have the great end to your weekend and maybe get to sewing or doing something creative. Because it's middle of April and it's starting to snow again. What else can you do while you're in the house, right? Or you can video game. Either way, thanks guys. Love yous. Stay the blazes home.